And we are ready to go. So we are here at the highest cliff in the world. And if you look off over there in the distance, you can see the city. And that is what we are going to be obviously working on. For now, though, I'm pretty sure I saw that there is a hard drive, like down here. Yep, there it is. So definitely want to just grab some of these while I have the chance. Alright, and then there's apparently another one way up north, well, mostly west of me by the coast. And we're also going to be scanning for Mercer spheres because we need a lot more of those. Alright, there's another one over this way. I see it. Let's hop down and grab that. We're just going to do a little bit of exploring to start us off here. Because we are out here, we may as well.
I have a question.
Sing your song.
Can you explain what a temple is?
Another Mercer sphere over this way.
A temple is a vessel body, each a knot in our tapestry. Temples are root, vein, and organ. Temples are our shallow bones and our shallow windows.
Alright.
I think I
seem to
understand,
have
but how do you
flown
maintain
over it.
them?
The builder blood grows and kills and distributes.
It's going to be in a
Like
cave
fungus in a
down
forest.
here.
Like fungus in a forest.
Alright, can I find the cave entrance quickly? And I think the answer to that is probably no. So let's just keep on moving and start heading north, where hopefully we'll find another Mercer sphere, or at least a hard drive. Alright, so the hard drive should be... Yeah, we overshot it a little bit. It's back this way. Probably right around here somewhere. Ooh, we found a cave entrance. Alright. Let's go down in this dark, spooky cave. It's apparently... Okay, no, it's not an underwater cave. That was just a weird bug. Cool. Use the Mercer sphere. Pick it up. And I guess keep on heading along this cave. Not entirely sure where it'll lead. Out into a bigger cave, potentially with another Mercer sphere. I wouldn't be upset about a 2-for-1 deal. Oh, I've actually been in this cave, I think. Yeah, this cave. If we go down this way, we'll reach my motor plant from my last playthrough. Obviously, it's not here. And I guess that means that the Mercer sphere is above me on the surface, because I don't think I remember it being in here. It doesn't look like it is. Alright, well, we're going to head back, because we need to pick up that hard drive. Up we go, and through the winding cave. And up here. And down here, past all of the horrible spider monstrosities. And underwater for a brief bit. And we are out and looking for a hard drive. And there it is. Let's show up and grab this. Requires copper sheets. Alright. Yoink. And then there are also a lot of hard drives in the, just like along the coast in between me and the factory. So I guess I'll pick those up along the way. And speaking of hard drives, I should scan them. That would make sense to do. So let's just put that in for a scan. And if we head along this way, we should encounter some more. And also, we're making our way back to the base by traveling in this direction, which is more important, honestly. Alright, we are on the wrong side of this little inlet type thing. So let's get on over to the correct side. And I see a Mercer sphere. There's also a summer sloop in the vicinity, but I don't see it immediately. Okay, apparently not. Alright, we need to get up these mushroomy type things because I suspect the hard drive is going to be on top of this ridge. So we need to gain a lot of height. Alright, there's even a Mercer sphere this way, probably way up there. Which I guess... No, not a splitter. Foundation. Alright, so then we can stand here, recover our fuel, and then go up again. Okay, this isn't the Mercer sphere we were looking for. This is just a power slug. But I see the Mercer sphere over there on that pillar. And I think the hard drive should be just past it. Let's get over there, pick it up. Alright, Mercer sphere check. And hard drive. Need rubber. Alright, that's another hard drive down. And then there's another hard drive way up here by this sand deposit. There's another Mercer sphere this way. Apparently. There it is, I see it. Alright. Mercer sphere gathered. We are back up to 7, which is a healthy amount for placing dimensional depots. Obviously, every additional one helps a lot, but 7 isn't completely embarrassing. Alright, I see it. It is down by the coast. The hard drive specifically. There's also a Mercer sphere over here, which I suspect will not be down. No, it looks like that'll also be down by the coast. Assuming this is an overhang. there's a sphere. Alright. What the heck? Where is the sphere? Oh, is it on this like little intermediary ledge? That's a sneaky place for it.
Witness a single strand of the tapestry.
Alright. Then hard drive, which I don't actually know what. Ooh, in case industrial beams, we need those. We need so many of these. Like an additional 100 or so is actually just useful. Normally you don't need to pick up loot of things you already have producing, but we are currently sort of desperate for encased industrial beams. Alright, there is a Mercer sphere this way. And hovering there is just so difficult. Maybe I can stand on him and pick him up? Yeah, there we go. That's the ticket. Alright, there's a Mercer sphere, and there's the hard drive. Yoink.
Your symphony invades our temples and echoes along our lattices. Why do you weep?
More encased
Growth,
industrial
the
beams. Let's
future,
go.
An idea, and frankly, you.
Is the tapestry
Alright, we have to use some.
thoughts?
Both are
Unfortunate.
necessary, yet only one can't function without the other.
We see your echo steps, shimmering
There are so
symphonies that
many
break apart
more.
our temples, but your song is alien.
How
Alright,
long ago did you notice
and
me?
there's another one south.
There's no long, there are only spheres.
I wonder, was it always about survival, or is there something more, something beyond?
Consume our blood and you will see our threads.
Alright. There's a Mercer sphere somewhere along this vicinity. There's also a hard drive somewhere around here. Alright, there's a Mercer sphere. Oh, this is poison. No. Not like that. Throw it farther. Alright. Is that far enough to be a problem? There you go. And there you go. And another Mercer sphere.
Play. Play.
And keep on heading south, and there should be another hard drive. There it is. Use some computers to grab that. And then that is weirdly close to my oil power plant. And apparently there's another hard drive up here. Also weirdly close to my oil power plant. Alright, let's fly on over. Also a Mercer sphere in this general vicinity. Alright, I see the hard drive. We're gonna have to blow up some poison pillars to get to it. Alright. And aside from that, it was clear. And there's a Mercer sphere over this way. I see it. It's on top of that cliff right over there. Alright. Another Mercer sphere down. Now if I just pan the map over... Yeah, okay. That's pretty much all the hard drives I can collect in this vicinity. There are a couple more in between, but they require stuff I don't have. because we are just going to move on. And I guess we're not gonna spend time upgrading the power right now. Power production is fine, right? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna have to. I think I'm gonna do nuclear power for the next phase, which will be fun. I haven't done nuclear power before. Ooh, the MAM research is completed. Apparently it's very complicated, but it also produces a lot of power, so... But that's the next phase. That is ages away, since we are going to be rebuilding so much stuff of the current phases. Alright. Scan another hard drive. Let's pick a reward. It'll be fine. Technically, you shouldn't do that. Technically, you should let them all pile up, but I think there just aren't even that many rewards left to pick with my current level of unlocks, so I'm not worried about it. This Mercer Sphere is right here. Alright, that's that. And we keep on moving. Wait, is that the one that requires high-speed connectors? Because we can technically do that. There are two that we can't do, though. No, this is one I've already gotten. Okay. That makes sense. There are two hard drives in this vicinity that I can't unlock because they require future technology, and there's one that I can unlock as of recently. Oh, I wonder what's underneath this rubble. A power slug. It's a nice little treat. Okay, now we need to get up over all of this nonsense. So let's bring the ladder down and climb up. It'll give us some height at least. And then we should be able to just jetpack up most of these gaps. Please. Alright, cool. Let's put a floor in. That can get us a jump. And the rest of the way up. And these cliffs are super annoying and I don't like them. So when we build these ladders, if coincidentally we end up in the same spot in the future, it'll be easier for us to get up. Not that the odds of that are super high, but it does happen sometimes. Alright, then we jetpack up here. This would also be a lot easier if we had bothered to get turbo fuel at any point, but we haven't, so there we go. And there are no Mercer spheres in this area as well. But we are basically home. Alright. So, we have a number of steps that we need to accomplish, and the awful thing is we kind of need, like, to set up 3 different production lines and 3 different resource inputs in order to get anything done at all. So in order to get our iron ingot production working, we need to have an input of packaged water. In order to have an input of packaged water, we need canisters. In order to have canisters, we need oil. And it's just a whole giant loop. So trust me, all those things in the notes on the right, we need to do all of them. Also, let's just finish that off so it's technically done. Alright, so this is the iron train. Train station. Iron stop. So we need to actually make this a train, get tracks in, and get it going to a location with lots of iron. So let's start with doing that. So the first thing is, I think we want this train to... So it definitely is going to loop around. The question is, does it loop around this way or that way? And there's probably a lot of iron out there. In fact, I can see a lot of iron out there just lying around in random patches. Okay, so we are very lucky. We can get this railway to curve around this way. And then come up this way. And then this railway can go straight along this way. And the question is always, like, do I loop it on itself or do I make it a two-way track? And I think I'm going to loop it on itself, just for the sake of convenience. So this needs to go even further. This needs to go even further. And then this needs to come along that way and snap in. However, currently it is too far away. So let's make that like that. And then hopefully that will be enough distance for it. Alright. So we have our iron loop. So the train coming in will go around that way and back in. And this, like, in theory, we should be able to expand the stop out this way. Like, so if we need more iron input, we can do it that way. So that should be good. And now we just need to hope that this is significantly shorter than that, which I think it is. We're gonna have trains running underneath other trains there, although that limestone train isn't gonna do all that much. Like, we're probably gonna shut it down at some point, just because it's delivering to the old station. We might also just, like, divert that train into the new setup. We might do the same for iron, actually. Alright, so now that we are out here, let's do a quick scan for iron ore. And it is everywhere. Just 3 pure nodes just randomly around me. Alright, so let's make a nice wide area for a platform over here. And I guess it'll be facing that way so that that can just run straight through. And then it gets 3 freight platforms. Ooh, a MAM research is finished. I wonder if we're going to run out of new researches anytime soon. Apparently not quite yet. These are both kind of mid, but we'll take one, I guess. Alright, now we just have to set up these iron mines. So you get a miner mark 2.
You are currently 74% more efficient than your peers.
Oh boy, 74%, that's pretty good. And miner mark 2s on pure nodes. If we overclock these, it's gonna go crazy. Alright, let's get power down from this station. And it's not actually going to show up immediately, of course, because the station isn't connected to anything yet, but eventually it will. And let's also bring a ladder down. Alright, so this, we need to get this thingamabob off of it. And miner mark 2 is 240. Alright, so let's overclock these to 480, which just needs 2 power shards and makes them take up a full max speed belt, which my poor encased industrial beam supply is not going to be happy with. But whatever, such is life. Alright, so then we get this one. We overclock it. We bring its belt out to maybe approximately where it needs to be. I don't know. And then there's this one over here, which I'm not sure if this is one of the ones we scanned, so it might not be pure. Okay, that one's impure. We're going to leave that one for now then. And instead, look over here. Are any of these pure? It's not showing up properly, but this one's normal. If this one is also normal, then the two of them can, by their powers combined, become a pure. Alright, so we get that one. And we get this one. And they are each going to be at 240, which will make them combined 480. Alright. Sorry, Mr. Hog, you're going to have to go somewhere else. Invalid placement because there's a random rock there for no good reason. Alright, so then we need to merge those up. That merger is pointing in a silly direction, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, so we need that to go that way. So now these two can merge up. Also need to power them up. I just remembered. That's an important detail. And now this can go over this way with the rest of them. And try to keep it some height, just because that saves some building materials. But then we bring this up there. Alright, that is 3 pure nodes effectively. Or three full belts would be the better way of saying it. And we need to attach power to that one as well. And then run back here. Are you pure? Yes, you are. Alright, so then we get you up to 480. And we bring you over here. And now you're all in the general vicinity. We need to head back up there and figure out exactly where these all need to end up. We get up here. Alright, so first thing we need is this platform to be a little bit bigger. And I guess made out of concrete. Sure, why not? So we need this to be iron source, 4 belts. I don't know how much exactly it is. It's like thousands though. So what we need is a floor hole here, floor hole here, and so the trick actually is we need to make sure that all of these get some So first let's get storage containers in. We're using industrial storage containers here, no particular reason. We could easily use regular ones, but industrial ones store a bit more, so there you go. Okay, so these are the buffers, and they just go directly into the trains. So these are necessary because the trains can't take input when it's loading or unloading, which slightly hurts throughput. Having these buffers fixes that somewhat. And then the other thing we need is even a bit more space. And we need how to describe this? We need smart splitters here. So what these will do is well, no, not that, the opposite of that. Center overflow, right any. Center overflow, right any. And then feed into that. And then this one goes into the third one. That one goes into the third one. And I want this to be straight, which I guess looks like that. So what this will mean is these two will be filled, and then when they're stopped because the train is loading, the overflow will go into the third one, which should keep the whole thing collectively running at 100%. Now, I just realized I think this might... No, this loops around back. So yeah, the third one is also the third one over there, and I think I've done something similar with splitting on that one, so it should be fine. And we only need to do one belt for that because it's probably not... It's not going to be a huge amount. So that should be fine. One belt each should be plenty for that. Now I just need to get these guys up here. And that one goes a little bit further. This one can probably just get up like that. Alright, so that's 2. This is gonna be 3, I guess. That's a Mark 1 lift. Any of those Mark 1s? No. All good there. Alright, there's another one. And there's one more down there, which we need to get a bit of an angle to find. And then bring it a bit further over this way. And up. And now we can go down here and stand on it. Oh, don't fall. Alright, so then that goes up there. then that goes like that, and hopefully I got that lined up correctly. Probably good enough anyway. Please. Building while hovering is remarkably tricky. Alright, so then that goes into that splitter. That one can come around this way and go into that splitter. And then that one can go directly up there. That one can go directly up there. And that should be that. So now we just need to hook all of this up rail-wise. So this needs to loop around this side. And we're going to need more space for that. Alright, so then that loop happens. It comes along this way. That one goes forward a little bit, but not a lot, because this needs to snap into it. Alright, then this goes forward even further. Then that snaps in there. And I'm going to have to take that power pole out and move it over a little bit. Alright, now I just have to hook this rail line up to that rail line. Which should be somewhat trivial. So we run that along there. And a little bit more. And now they're hooked up. And I need to actually power this stop on. It's not currently done. So you get a power line. And then that power line. Please, fuel, get me up. Goes up there. And now this whole system should be working, and I think we can see green lights off in the distance. And now we just throw in an electric locomotive with 1, 2, 3 cars. And we add the 2 stops in, save it, and turn it on. And we just need to set this side to unload. And then this should get iron, and the iron should go up into the truck stops. And that is that done. Let's restock on fuel. What is all this junk in my inventory? Clear up a few more spaces. Don't need rods. I don't really need iron plates. I probably need iron plates. Oh well. I don't need 2 high-speed connectors or 6 quick wire. Let's just leave it at that. Alright. So that is that. And we should see iron coming up into this system soon. However, once it is there, we won't be able to do anything with it. Because in order to even transport it, we need fuel, which means we need oil, water, and canisters. So we're just going to confirm that this works. And I just realized that I can't actually see the train from up there. Alright, it is pulling in. It has what looks like 2 buckets of cargo. Alright, that is doing something related to the old factory, just turning around. I thought that factory cart was stopping at the iron, and I was like, what are you doing? But it's not. Alright. Almost. Alright, there's the honk. And these belts move fast, so I should see it soon. If it's working. Yep, there it goes. Up it goes, and it's going down into the factory. Oh, that's funny. They technically fill their output belts. Alright, that doesn't matter. Alright. So we can now fill that with iron ore. Confirmed everything is working. And what is this set to? Load. Alright, that's good. Alright, then the next thing we need is to bring in water, which is also just going to require a train. And I think this time we're close enough over here that it makes sense to go east for our water, just off to the coast. Although maybe we could just grab it from this lake here. Yeah, that's probably enough water. Alright, so let's get down to the train level. And we need another train station for water. That bean is not animating, it's just sort of sliding along. So what's going on there? I have no idea. Alright. I mean, it's so close. It's literally right there. All the water you could ever need. So let's not do a train station for water, actually. Let's just bring water up manually. So, if we're bringing up water manually, that means water train is almost done, but we need a water packager. And the way I'm going to be doing water packager is I need to go down and make a new blueprint, because I have unlocked Mark II pipes since the last one, so I would like to fill up full belts with water. Which is not going to be my normal auto-connecting blueprint, because this is different, but it's different because it requires fluids, and also because that blueprint requires a preposterous amount of encased industrial beams, and I'm trying to conserve those. And also just like, I don't know. I don't know how many times this is going to need to be placed. Alright, so we have this. And we need packagers. Packagers are the thing that we use to package water. So we want 480 total. So 480 divided by 60 is 8. So we need 8 packagers, which is 2 floors of 4. Actually, packagers are more complicated on the front end than the back end. Like, they take 2 inputs and only have 1 output. So we're going to move them over there a bit. Alright. Let's block a spammer account. Alright, so that is floor 1. Next up, we need to make floor 2. We also need to make floor 1 tall enough. Well, making this floor is why I normally have pre-built box shells for this. But we've done it. And so now we just need another row of packagers just like the first. Alright, holding control tries to put it down there for some reason. Alright, second line of packagers done. And we have to put walls on this floor as well, and we also need to finish the walls on the first floor. Alright, so now we have our 2 floors of packagers. We just need to attach the inputs and outputs to them. So outputs are easy. So each floor is going to be a Mark III belt. And then they meet up to make a Mark IV belt. So this floor is 240, so we can just use Mark III here and save our precious encased industrial beams. And right, the input is something we need to put in. So this is a conveyor wall that inputs the canisters, and this is a wall that I'm going to have to nudge in slightly because the blueprint designers are cursed, and actually it'll look so much better if I just nudge in this entire wall. Right, like if I just make that just be how it is. So now that conveyor wall goes there, and you get a wall hole as well. Alright, so now we have a splitter. Just a regular old splitter. That's a Mark IV belt. That gets a floor hole. That's a Mark 3. And then we get our line of splitters here. Actually, I have plenty of space here, right? Can I just be fancy and load balance this properly? Yes, it's quite simple. So that gets to then this gets to, and while we're making things perfectly balanced, those can be Mark II belts. These can be Mark I belts. Alright. That is nice and elegant. And then the last thing we need, on this floor at least, is the water pipe. So it just goes along this way. And takes input there. And outputs into all of these. Actually, hang on. The water pipe needs to be Mark II on the way in, at least. So let's just make sure that that is the case. Alright, so now this portion should be Mark II. This can be Mark I, because it's only dealing with 240. Alright, now we just put a pipeline floor hole there. Another junction there. And that feeds down there. Now I have to go downstairs and do the same setup. So let's get the splitters in. Alright, so then that goes there, that goes there. That goes there. That goes there. And then that does those. Alright. Now we just need to take this, lift down at Mark III, and in. Alright, that's solids. Next up, we just need the water pipe. Which comes along this way, I believe. And then we put junctions in. And bring the pipes. Alright, that one is incredibly grumpy for some reason, so we're going to switch to Auto 2D for those two. And if we switch to Noodle, then we can get that up into that. And I think there's something like when you do manifolds with pipes, just do that. I don't understand why, but it's very easy to do. All it costs are a tiny amount of copper sheets. And again, I have no idea if that helps, but if it does, then I'm going to do it. Alright. Next up is the power. So let's get power poles into this. 2, 3. And then bring this down to the bottom floor. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then bring that power pole right up next to the entrance. Alright, now we just have to finish off these walls, which are a bit funky looking on that side. Alright, then we just do that one. Alright, first floor completely walled off. And second floor, just get that in real quick. And I hope this wall being inset slightly doesn't do weird things to the foundations or anything. It probably won't, as long as I don't use it as the reference point for the foundations. Alright, almost there. Alright. And just put the roof on. And yeah, that works out perfectly. And where is the saver? Alright. So this is water packager Mark II. And it takes 480 water, 480 canisters to 480 packaged water. Alright, save that, clear it, have a lag spike. Alright, so we have that. We could go up there and build it. But while we're down here in the Blueprint Designer, there are other blueprints we need to make, namely canister production and fuel production. So for these, let's load up the old box. There's so much junk in here. Okay, let's clear out the inventory as much as possible. I don't need 7 fuel. I don't need an extra stack of plastic. Random silica. AI limiters. More motors. I do need all of the encased industrial beams in the history of the planet. Alright, so we have this. And what we need to do is make plastic. So let's head up to the top floor. Wait, no, actually, plastic does recycled shenanigans. Alright. So let's get our refineries in. And I'm pretty sure this is just like a 3 refinery deal pretty much. So, what we need is this to be recycled plastic, this to be recycled plastic, this to be recycled rubber. Oh, but I think one of these is supposed to face the other way. Yes, the rubber is supposed to face the other way. So then we place that in, set it to make recycled rubber. And now what we need is set this up real quick. Actually make that a smart splitter with right any center overflow. Alright, so let's just get the basic belts in. And so then this left one is the output. It goes up, I don't know, that way. Then that one feeds into that one. Alright. So we have the belts all set up. So basically how this works is this takes fuel and plastic to make rubber. This takes fuel and rubber to make plastic. And these two go in a loop, but this one produces more rubber than this one needs to make plastic, and that rubber goes into this one, which makes the actual output. And theoretically we could fit a second refinery in there, maybe. Alright, now the rule of thumb is this turns basically one fuel into one plastic, and you can do the same thing with rubber. So what that means is if we want this system to make like 60 rubber or 60 plastic, and actually I think, yeah, let's use our extra space, use the fact that this is a Mark II blueprint designer, and get an additional refinery in. And let's also get through. So that means that that goes away. That gets a merger. And then the merger goes into there. Alright, let's see if I can figure out the outputs. So, we want 120 plastic out of this. And that is going to require 60 rubber. So we need to make 60 rubber here. But we need to make more than 60 rubber because we need to feed that. And yeah, no, there's no way. I'm going to look up the ratios. They are very hard to figure out. Alright. Pretty sure I have a setup already specifically for this. Yeah, okay. So, the recycled rubber stage is going to be I guess this is going to involve power shards, probably. Just to get them going fast enough. Now, let's just have this be 60. And that will be fine. So you can go away, and then we can just stack them infinitely to make more. At the cost of our poor encased industrial beams, but that's fine. Alright. So then this makes 40 rubber a minute. Which means this makes 60. So this needs 20 plastic a minute, which means this produces 20 plastic a minute. Alright, and how do I figure that out? Oh no, I could have figured that out on my own math, but it's easier this way. So then that should all work, and the last thing we need to do is we need to prime the pump. So that there needs to be some rubber or plastic in here to get started. So let's get rid of a couple of our trillion stacks of concrete. Grab a couple stacks of rubber. You get a stack of rubber. And you get a stack of rubber. And so that should mean everything gets started and works nicely. Okay. But I could make this more than 60, right? Like, I have this whole space here. I really don't want to be using a billion encased industrial beams every time I do anything. We're not going to be able to get to 120. But alright, actually let's do it this way. Let's say this is 60. So that's making 60 rubber a minute. Which means it needs 30 plastic a minute. Which means that is set to 30 plastic a minute. Which means it uses 15 rubber a minute. Which means we have 45 rubber left over. Which means that is 30. And this is set to half. And that will use all that rubber. So then we just need another splitter here. And let's make it another smart splitter. Alright. So we worked that out. We can get 90 plastic out of 4 machines. I'm pretty sure that's the max. This is using all the rubber that one makes. Although technically we could combine those 2 machines into one and just not even need 4 machines. So yeah, we could do that. The 4th machine, yeah, we wouldn't be able to get hardly any more out of that. So let's just call this good. And now we need 2 things. Firstly, we need, well, really what we need is the fuel input. So all of these machines need fuel in addition to their plastic or rubber. So let's run this along that way. And it's not gonna automatically line up nicely, so we're gonna have to do it manually. Alright, for some reason it doesn't snap if you look directly at it, but it does snap if you look a little past it. Alright, so then these all get snapped in. And then this last one goes through... It goes up through there. And just continues along up there, and then down and in there. Alright. And finally I just hook that up. This is 90 total production, right? So making those Mark IIs. It's coming from 60 there, 30 there. Total input is 90 fluids. There's never more than 60 rubber a minute there. Alright, so that is that done. Before we leave this floor, I guess the last... Right, so the last thing we need to do is actually get the fuel in, which I could put it in that little corner, but I might need that little corner for the packager to go. So we're going to put it like there, and random junction there-ish, and up and in it goes. So the fuel will come down there, and then do all this shenanigans. And now we just have to get the packaged fuel in, and oh, this is another one of the stupid 2 output ones. That sucks. Alright. Rats. We need to make a 2 output version of the box. So let's just take this one apart and make it the second output, which is going to involve running up the entire way. Deleting all of that. And then rebuilding it, but going the opposite direction. Alright, part you go. And there you go. And then we go up to the top. And it is this one. Alright, so that is correct. Pipeline pumps. No, not pipeline pumps. Alright, so we have that. Now we go down to this floor. And we bring it across. Alright, and that goes there. That attaches in. Then we need a splitter there, and a merger there, and the splitter goes to the output. And by the way, all of those need to be Mark IV. Alright, so then we have all that. Now, last step is the fluid packaging. Unpackage fuel. And we can only do 60 in one machine. Okay. So the easy way to solve this is we can salvage this space by doing that whole thing. So let's head down. Oh wait, did I never quite finished this. Alright, so that goes there. Now we go to this one. And this one still needs just to go down and to, please, I've fallen out of the thing. Alright. Then that is a merger, which isn't used, but looks cool, I guess. Alright. So that is all sorted. Now what we need to do is take that one out so that we can use that space. So this would then go up to be 45 production a minute, I believe. So that would be 30. Alright, let's see. That produces 60 rubber a minute. Both of these machines maxed out use 60 rubber a minute and produce 120. Yeah, okay, so this is correct. And then we just need to head back around here and stick a smart splitter in. So you go right, any left overflow, and then you get a merger there. And that merger is facing the wrong way, so I have to rebuild it. Alright, so the merger is now facing the correct way. Alright, get rid of that random extra belt. This merger isn't necessary, but we have it, I guess. So now this does the same thing, but in two machines, which frees up floor space on the second floor for packagers. Alright, so we have one packager there. Now we just stick a second packager in there. And then we just need to split these. So you get half of them. You get the other half. And these can be 45 each to make it work nicely. Unpackaged fuel, 45. And then we just have to take these pipes and run them along the opposite direction they're pointed. Alright, so then that pipe goes in there. And that can go in there to avoid a little bit of clipping, and down there. Alright. Then we have the canister outputs of this, which is going to drive me insane. So this can go... I guess if I just like put a conveyor lift there, can that go into it? No, of course not. Alright, what if I put the conveyor lift there? Alright, so that gives us height to dodge most of the floor-based problems. And we can run this out, I guess, just straight into the merger? No, we need to put another merger in here. Oh god, this is unbelievably cursed, but that goes into there, puts it on the belt, and then it goes down there. Now this belt here needs to be Mark II. And then this needs to come out and up and into that. And good golly, this is not the prettiest setup in the world. But we have the canisters out. And then finally, this is relatively easy. We just have to bring the actual rubber or plastic or whatever it is we're doing here down into there. Alright, everything is done. Now we can put the power pole in and just hook everything up. And then we hook that one up. And we hook that one up. And done. 90 packaged fuel to 90 plastic. Finished. So this is called plastic V2. 90 packaged fuel to 90 plastic. Okay. Then we clear the blueprint designer. And we grab even more encased industrial beams. Well, we certainly have a good supply of those now. Alright, so that is plastic production check. Next up is canister production. And then after that is fuel. I should check that box. That is probably the source of a lot of my inventory related problems. Alright. So we reload this. Now all we need to do is make some canisters. Alright. Of course, that is the wrong floor. We could probably do this all on the one floor. So let's just get... This is going to be so incredibly simple. Literally just empty canister. Empty canister. And this will take all of that plastic that we've worked so hard to make and convert it into a large number of empty canisters. So yeah, easy as that. And we just need to take an input off of a Mark I belt. And do a splitter there. There, and alright. Those are not quite lined up. Alright, it just is slightly offset from where it needs to be, which is fine. We have plenty of space, so what we can do is just do the opposite, I guess. So we have that feeding into those two. And then this comes over and around. And apparently we need even more space. So like that, and in. And done. Alright, so now we just hook that all up to power. And finished. Thank you, Plastic Production, for being easy. Empty canister. V2. And this is 60 plastic to 120 empty canisters. Save that blueprint. Clear the designer. Alright. Then the last thing we need a V2 of, for now, is fuel. Yeah, okay. So we need fuel, which is going to be whole diluted fuel shenanigans. Let's go up and start on this floor because we need to be placing refineries. Alright, let's see if I can remember how this works. Step 1. Step 1 is make heavy oil residue. step 2 is take that heavy oil residue and combine it with water. Combine it with packaged water, right? How does this work? Diluted packaged fuel takes heavy oil residue, combines it with packaged water, and it makes packaged fuel. Alright, so that is actually convenient. So we just need, because it means we don't have to unpackage the fuel or anything here. It'll just work. Now, how much does this make? 30 heavy oil residue makes 60 packaged fuel. This makes 40 heavy oil residue. So yeah, let's do a 4 refinery setup. So if we get 2 in here making heavy oil residue, that is 80. And then if we place these ones in, are they not quite? Yeah, there's space which needs to be used. Alright, so that can go there. Might need extra space in the back, but probably will be fine. Oh, and that one is just also facing backwards. So that goes there. That goes there. Then these two are the ones which have to face backwards. Alright, so we have all that. And we set these to heavy oil residue, which gives us 80. We set these to diluted packaged fuel. And I mean, we can't use 80, right? So these just need to be underclocked to make 30 apiece. So these two guys make 30 apiece. So then these two guys make 60 each, and that's 120 packaged fuel right there. Alright, now we need to one unpackager for crude oil, which is easy. And so let's get the floor hole up there. And then run that along there. Alright, crude oil is in. Now we need to get out the polymer resin. This is a 3 outputter, isn't it? Because we're going to have some empty canisters left over. Yikes. Okay. That is very annoying. But regardless, let's focus on this. So we have our heavy oil now. We run it along the back. Oh, let's get the mergers in for the polymer resin first, I guess. Alright, so then that is that handled. then we need splitters for the water back here as well. Alright. And so we need 2 ceiling holes in this vicinity. And put them back to back like that. So this one is reversed. Mark 1, right? Yeah, hardly any polymer resin. Alright, so then that takes the polymer resin out. Ooh, that was the wrong one. This one takes the polymer resin out. Then this one brings the packaged water in. This Mark 2. Alright, and now we did the pipes on this side, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So now we just need to bring this pipe all the way along the back, like this, I guess. And then that goes into there. That goes into there. And then those go down out there, and that's the heavy oil residue supplied. Alright. So that all looking good. Now we take this packaged fuel which we have, and we have to merge it up. And I think we merge it up just like facing... Oh, that's a splitter, not a merger. That's why I couldn't get it to line up right. So I think we merge it up just into here. And then that goes there. Alright, then this comes down there. And gets belted up. And I believe that is everything we need to do on this floor. The last step will be powering up these machines and doing the unpackaging and such for the crude oil. So let's go up to this floor for that. Alright, so we have... Alright, first input is packaged water. Hang on. Am I dumb? Have I already forgotten? No, this takes in the packaged water, right? Alright, cool. I didn't mess up. So that's an input. That one's an output. So, input 1 will be this, and it'll be the packaged water. So it can come along that way. And then up into there. Alright, packaged water input, check. Alright, next input. We need a packager. With a good amount of space. So that goes into there, and you do unpackaged oil. I believe it's like 45, right? 22 and a half each. Yep, 45. And then we have to take those empty canisters and get them to an output. And we have to take this polymer resin and get it to an output. Alright, so then the next thing we need to do before all that, though, is run this pipeline along. Why would the auto go the wrong way? Alright, regardless. This comes down here. Let's not worry about that. And I actually don't know if there's enough lift for that. Like, I've no real grasp of how much 10 meters is, but it might not be that much. So let's just bring this along ground level. And weave around that. Alright, so that is that. Now we have this, which is probably the packaged fuel output. Alright, something has gone wrong with that conveyor lift, it seems. Alright, now this has 3 outputs and it produces a lot of fuel. We could just, like, not have this be automatically connecting. That would save a lot of work. So let's just do that. Let's just tear all this down. Alright, so we still have our 2 inputs functional there, that's fine. Now, output 1 is the empty canisters. So those come around this way. And go up there. Output 2 is the actual output we want, which is this one. This is the fuel. $120 fuel a minute there. Output 3 is the polymer resin, which we need to get rid of. And that goes down in there. Apparently that is too high for it, so that can go there, I guess. And then from there, directly into that. Alright. So that is all the belting done for this. Now we just need the power pole. Which we just hook up to the machines. And the packager. And I believe that is everything. Now we just need to make sure everything is configured. Alright, it's all looking good. So let's leave this, and what is it? 45 crude oil and 120 packaged water to 120 fuel. Fuel V2. So this is 45 crude oil, 120 packaged water to 120 fuel, 45 canisters, and some polymer resin. I don't know how much. I don't really care. It's just going to get sunk. Oh wait, I want to say also warning, not auto connecting. Alright, so that is that. We successfully clear the blueprint designer after it thinks for a little while. And I guess we take all of this and we start dumping off some of the extra junk. And we need so much more inventory space. So what else do we have that we don't really need? We don't need those in our inventory at all times. We don't need those or those. We don't need really most of this stuff. So let's just make sure the Blueprint Maker storage is nice and empty. I guess half empty will be good enough. And now we go and see if we can actually construct all of this. And once we construct it, then we'll have to get it set up, which will be a whole process in itself. Alright, so we head over there. Oh, we still also need to actually bring in the water and oil trains, of course. Can't forget that. So yeah, there's probably no way we're finishing this today. So let's find truck stop V2. And put that in. So this will be where the water goes. So select icon. Packaged water. And output packaged water. Copy those settings and actually do it that way. Alright, and then we need to make them red as well. For color consistencies, load preset red. Select. And load preset red. Select. Alright, so now we have that, but of course there is no packaged water in there. So we're going to have to fix that through the power of a factory. So, first we need a floor tile that I think goes there. Yep. Alright. And I have just realized that, of course, all of my blueprints face the wrong way, basically. So let's dismantle mode blueprint that and replace it facing the other way. And put the billboards up manually. Wait, I didn't need to copy that. I already had the previous settings copied. I could have done this so much easier. I'm a fool. Alright. Well, let's get up top and land on these billboards. So this needs to be packaged water and output packaged water. And then we Control C, Control V, and done. Alright, now we go into our blueprints and we find, let's see, where is it? Water Packager Mark II. Right where I wanted it to be, not where I was expecting it to be. So we need to figure out which side. Alright, let's take a good step back. That side is inset, which means that's the input side. Wait, did I not make an output for this? Did I just forget to have an output in this blueprint altogether? Yes, I didn't even do the floor side of it. Alright. Well, let's just build that real quick then. So that sends up 240. Then we get up to the second floor. And don't dismantle the whole thing. We knock a hole in the wall to get in. And this side just never even got mergers set up in the first place. Alright, so let's have that merge up back there. And that goes there. And then that goes there. And finally, they all connect up. Like there, I guess. Alright. And then we go to Mark IV. We need to bring it up there. Clipping through the wall. This would not work in the Blueprint Designer, probably. You'd probably be like, yeah, it's intersecting the Blueprint Designer. Alright. And now we just need a wall hole. Which I guess we can just put there, directly on top of the other one. I'm sure that won't cause any problems in the future. Alright, so that is the output and the input. So we need to get canisters in here and water in there. Until then, though, this is a Mark IV belt, which goes to transportation there. And we're just going to leave that as it is. Alright, so next stop is getting the water up here, which is going to be a bit of a thing. And I guess while we're at it, we should put in... Is this lined up? Yes. So we need another truck stop here. Facing this way for the empty canister input for the water production. And now that we're back here, we need to make this road go along. And we put another intersection there. And then we fill that in so that this can be accessed. And we put billboards up saying that this takes in empty canisters. Alright, so then select... Actually, hang on. I probably only want one of these to do empty canisters. Yeah, let's say this left one. So this will be empty canisters. And it'll be green. And it will say input empty canisters. And then this will be layout of just the icon, but then the icon we select will be a warning sign icon because we're not going to be using that one. Alright, so then that will take empty canisters from wherever we make them. And take that billboard down. And then this will be the belt we use. And nice, beautiful curve into that. Alright, so we have that. Then the next step for this is the water, which I guess we can squeeze a floor hole in here. And it needs to be Mark II. And it goes up and then over. And we stick a pipeline pump on it. No, apparently you have to click twice for some reason. And power that. So at least from this point up, it'll have enough power. And now I need to actually go and build some water power and bring it up here. So this is the floor hole in question. And I guess we just bring that down like that. It's probably not going to be in the way there. I hope. Alright, then we just need to bring this pipe down to the lake. And hook up a lot of water to it. And while we're here, let's grab that random power line. And water extractor, water extractor. Water extractor. Water extractor. Water extractor. 120, 240, 360, 480, 600. Alright, so this should be a full Mark II pipe. If it would work correctly, which it won't, but we can always dream. Okay, why have you just placed a pipeline junction there? That's not what I wanted. Alright, so then those two group up. And then this merges up with those two. And then this whole setup goes that way. And then merges up with that one. And invalid placement because of this random iron rock, which it won't even let me start mining for some reason. Please. Alright, how about if you just do that? Alright, that works. Alright, now let's get a Mark III power pole, because we need to hook all sorts of things up. And we get that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And then this should bring the water up. And they should be able to get up there, so let's put a pump. Alright, it doesn't seem to tell me how far this pump will take us. That's cool. I appreciate that. But probably a fair ways would be... Alright, there's... Where's the pre-existing line? I don't know. It's impossible to tell with these pipes. It might make it all the way. Let's get up and see if it makes it. Alright, so I need to hook all of these up to the power grid. And yeah, okay, not meaningful increase. Alright, that is yellow, so I think that means it didn't make it. So let's just put a Mark 1 pump there. Now, let's make it a Mark 2 pump there, and then not the one up top. So, there you go. You get the power. And then with that there, this one shouldn't need it. Alright. Oh, I see water starting to flow. Yep, there it goes. It just takes a while to fill pipes this long, of course. And yeah, that looks like it's good. It's filling up all the pipes that we needed to fill. And it is indeed getting into here. Slowly but surely, of course. Water just tends to be like that. Alright, so that is that. So now, if we had canister production, which we don't, then we would have packaged water production, and then we'd be able to make iron ingots. So, the next step are the canisters themselves. So let's go off of this road. What if we just make them across the street? So canisters are like the most complicated thing to deal with in this entire system. So I want to make sure they have enough space for all sorts of like improvisation. Alright, so we have our truck stop. We put the billboards up. And let's see. This would be a canister output. So we'll take that one. and select icon, empty canister, output, empty canister. And then we copy, and we paste, and we may as well do it on this side as well. Alright, so now we have these. So this is where the empty canisters will come from. Then the next thing we need is a plastic input or a heavy oil residue input. Or so we need to either bring in plastic or crude oil. And I think we're going to bring in crude oil and just have this be a multi-step process. Alright, no, but that's too close. Dismantle mode blueprint, get rid of that. So we have... No, don't place the truck stop down randomly. That's one tile, that's two tile. This is the third tile, so this is the center. Alright, so then this would be... No, not road. Truck stop. Build mode blueprint. Facing the other way. So that goes in there. And no, why would you do that? Oh, because this floor tile is off-center. And it insists on being placed off-center because of build mode blueprint. Alright, and now, when we build the truck stop, it lines up properly. Alright, and then this is for crude oil inputs. Or no, let's do it separately. I think it makes sense to have a dedicated plastic location because we're going to be using plastic for all sorts of things probably. So this is going to take in plastic. So it's an input, so it's green. And search plastic, select input plastic. Control C, Control V, copy it to all of these billboards. Alright, so we have that, and next up we need a factory to actually make the empty canisters, which we can do back here. So we put in a floor tile, we set it to default, and that's one tile, that's two tile, this is the third. Alright, so we have that in. Now we just need recycled plastic V2 is what it was called, I believe. There it is. Alright, so we need to stand back to see what we're doing. Alright, then that goes there. Alright, so we have this. And now that I see this, I remember we need to hook power up to everything. So let's hook this up first. Boom. Then we hook all of these up. And then we have to bring them to an intermediary stop for the wire. And then back there, and now all of these are green. Cool. And did I ever remember to attach this? I did not. I think... There you go. That's that problem solved. Oh, I never set these to the recipes. Let's do that. Is that just this floor, or is that this entire production line? Hard to say. It is this entire production line. Alright. Packaged water. Packaged water. Packaged water. And packaged water. Alright, so that is that. So now I take the plastic input and I put it in this one, I think. Am I correct in assuming it's the far right one? Always? Yes, it is. Alright. So that is that. Wait. What? Oh no, this is the recycled plastic factory. This is the one that makes the plastic, not the one that uses it. So yeah, let's dismantle all of that. And replace this with the empty canister V2 blueprint instead, which is the one I meant to use. Alright, in you go. So then that goes into there. Alright, so then this has a supply of plastic. It will power this on. And make our empty canisters, which I forgot to hook up to the output. That's fine. They can go up there. And now we take this belt and we bring it down there, but then we split to there. Alright. That should be done as well. And so then the next step is making the plastic production, making the canister return, and making the fuel production. But it is 4:26, and yeah, I don't know. I'm exhausted right now, so I could maybe push through and finish this all today, but I don't think I'm going to. I think we're just going to end a little bit early. We will wrap all this up on Monday. So we have made very good progress to, like, basically the core of the factory. We need to set up the canister return system, which is going to be fun. But aside from that, and aside from putting all the rest of these buildings in place, like, we should have everything almost set up to have a functional factory, and then we can start doing all of the rest of the things, like copper and caterium and various recipes. So that'll be next week. Monday from 2 to 5 will be the next time I stream Satisfactory. And yeah, so make sure to follow if you haven't already.